For those of you who don't know Bobby's perspective, he runs an anti-vegan channel here on YouTube. He doesn't have a very large channel, and he even decided to hide his subscriber count. I guess he's a little embarrassed that not too many people care about his perspective, but I'd say he runs one of the larger anti-vegan channels here on YouTube. These anti-vegans tend to be few and far between. Vegans definitely outnumber them, and when they do bother to make YouTube channels, their content is usually just absolute trash, unwatchable, and they hardly ever upload. So Bobby is one of the few anti-vegans who actually bothers to put a good amount of time and effort into his channel, trying to convince you to follow a diet that needlessly causes the suffering and death of animals and promotes chronic disease in humans. And I think that alone says a lot about Bobby, but we're going to be taking a deep dive into what makes Bobby a terrible person. Now, I wouldn't say that eating meat alone makes you a terrible person. There are plenty of good people who eat meat. A lot of people eat meat because of cultural indoctrination. They haven't really thought about, the ethical consequences of their food choices, and certain people have just been brought up a certain way, so they're kind of brainwashed in a sense, and they can't really help it. But Bobby is a little bit different because he used to be vegan, and judging from a few of his social media posts, he was a vegan at least partly for ethical reasons. He knows all about the cruelty and needless death that is caused by the animal agriculture industry. So why would he go back to eating meat and betray his own moral principles? It's because he's a selfish liar. So if you scroll through Bobby's Instagram, you'll see plenty of photos like this where he's posing, promoting veganism, looking really muscular, lean, jacked, he looks good. But then, if you keep scrolling up, eventually, this just randomly pops up out of nowhere, and on the right, it says vegan, and he looks extremely underweight, malnourished, skinny, but then on the left, he has this photo that says eating meat, but he looks exactly the same in all of his older photos. So what's going on here? And a little while later, he also basically made the same type of post where, again, meat on the right, he looks exactly the same as in all of his other photos as a vegan, but then in the vegan photo, he looks extremely skinny, underweight, malnourished. So obviously, Bobby isn't telling you the entire story, and he's just lying by omission. These photos where Bobby looked extremely skinny and emaciated were taken after he was following a raw vegan diet and practicing fasting. And this highlights the main issue Bobby had following his vegan diet. He had a body image and eating disorder, which made him follow this ridiculous raw vegan diet, and he just ended up also starving himself, which is why he ended up looking like this. You don't end up looking like this if you don't have a body image and eating disorder. And I think videos like this show you just how bad his body image and eating disorders were at the time. So this is Bobby's juice fasting transformation video. At day 1, he's extremely skinny. He obviously shouldn't be trying to lose any weight, but Bobby thinks he isn't lean enough, so he decided to starve himself for 30 days, and by the end of it, he became even more skinny and emaciated. But Bobby has a body image and eating disorder, so at the time he thought he looked great, even though he looks like a walking skeleton, and what a contrast. Back in 2017, when he made this video, Bobby thought he looked great, which is why he made this video in the first place, and he was proud to show off his results. But now looking back, Bobby recognizes that he looked terrible and he was starving, but why would you blame this on veganism? These photos were clearly taken after you starved yourself. Now, I'm no expert on these body image and eating disorders, but what I do know about the people who have these disorders is that they will do and say anything and everything they can to not admit that they have these disorders, to avoid admitting that they have a problem. They'll get defensive and make up all kinds of ridiculous excuses, and it looks like that's what Bobby is doing. He doesn't want to admit that he has these body image and eating disorders, that he's obsessed with being super lean, that he tries to eat as little as possible so he can stay super lean. So he's just blaming veganism for getting so skinny, when in reality, he's just trying to hide that he has these eating disorders. And you can find other videos on his channel where this is also evident. Here's an 8-week transformation video he made, and at the beginning of the video, he really really doesn't look bad at all. He doesn't look like he's starving himself. He looks like he's getting in enough food, and he's still relatively lean. He has visible abs and muscle tone. But Bobby says this was the worst shape of his life. No, Bobby, I'd say the worst shape of your life was when you were raw vegan and starving yourself, and you literally looked like a walking skeleton. Again, I think this just shows how bad Bobby's body image and eating disorders are. But after 8 weeks of intense training and dieting, Bobby improved his overall body composition. It looks like he gained muscle and lost fat. I'd say he still probably got a little too lean. That level of body fat isn't sustainable, but he still looks much better than before. And keep in mind, this video was published on May 22nd of 2018, 1 year after he did his juice fasting video on March 12th, 2017. So Bobby clearly gained weight, gained muscle, and looked much healthier, all while being vegan, but he's posting this lying bullshit on his Instagram claiming that veganism turned him into a skeleton, when no, you looked exactly the same when you were vegan. And enough people called Bobby out for lying about these Instagram posts that he actually had to address these lies in a video.
Bobby, those pictures, those videos, they are not you on a vegan diet. Those are pictures from your juice fast. Those are pictures when you water fasted. Those are pictures when you were a fruitarian. This is misinformation. You're misleading people. You're misrepresenting veganism. Guys, I always kept it 100% honest on this channel. So, those pictures, are they really, really shocking? Are they disturbing? Did I pick and choose the most disturbing pictures in displaying and improving my point? Yeah, of course I did. Think about it logically. If you try to prove a point, you will of course choose the strongest evidence. That being said, is it still me on those pictures? Yes. Is it still me on a vegan diet on those pictures? Yes. Is it me juice fasting on those pictures though? No. Those statements come from vegan ideologues. You claim that I was juice fasting. Meanwhile, you can see in that video how I'm eating. You can see in that video how I'm eating spaghetti, how I'm gulping down on oatmeal. I've been eating a vegan diet on those video clips. No, I wasn't juice fasting. No, I wasn't water fasting. That is the truth.
So Bobby is just making up more lies. All of these video clips Bobby used in his video addressing his Instagram posts were clips of him from 2016 when he was practicing raw veganism, and around that same time he was also practicing intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting. So I did a little bit of digging. This clip of him at 1 minute and 15 seconds was back on October 14th of 2016, and he made a video about intermittent fasting less than 2 months later on December 5th of 2016.
Every now and then I have to put in a little bit of work so I can finance my travels. As for now, I'm laboring, as you can see, and I've been jackhammering all day long. As I said, I've been jackhammering all day, an 8-hour shift, no problem whatsoever. I haven't eaten anything yet, and I still have a 20-minute walk and a 1.5 hours train ride back home. And then I finally gonna have my first meal.
So it's safe to assume that right when Bobby first started his channel back in October of 2016, he was not only following a raw vegan diet, which is typically low in calories, low in protein, and overall nutrition, making it very easy to become underweight, but he was also starving himself for most of the day with his intermittent fasting routine. I also want to point out the comments on Bobby's video. He clearly looks terrible, he's extremely underweight, but he has all of these delusional morons in the comment section telling him he looks great, oh man, he's super lean and shredded. So his audience was just making his body image and eating disorders worse, which would have encouraged him to keep starving himself and go more and more extreme with his weight loss. So Bobby is is claiming that he isn't lying about his Instagram photos. Those photos he used were just from when he was following a vegan diet, no fasting, just following a vegan diet. Well, no, you're just lying to try to cover up your lies. Those photos are photos of you cherry-picked from 2016 when you were not only following a raw vegan, nutrient-deficient diet, but you were also starving yourself all day with intermittent fasting, and around that same time period, you were also doing prolonged fasting. So on March 12th, 2017, Bobby posted a juice fast transformation video, but what I found interesting is that he used a still from this video as a thumbnail photo on one of his previous videos titled Why I Went Raw Vegan, Magic Mushrooms, and Meditation, and this video was posted on February 27th, 2017. So that would mean within only 4 months of making his first 2 videos from October 2016 to February 2017, Bobby has openly admitted to following not only a raw vegan diet, but also doing intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting. So again, Bobby is clearly lying. He's claiming that these horrible photos on his Instagram were just from following a normal vegan diet. He wasn't doing any kind of fasting or anything like that, but somehow he just couldn't keep his weight up. Well, that's a lie. He was following a raw vegan diet, and to make things worse, he was practicing intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting at the time. And in one of Bobby's own videos back when he was still vegan, he admitted that following a raw vegan diet and only eating 1 meal per day is what got him that skinny, and after he started eating more protein, got away from raw foods, ate more calories, and ate more meals throughout the day, he was able to gain weight.
Before, as I mentioned in previous videos, I started declining rapidly and I started becoming very, very catabolic, losing a lot of muscle mass. So when I wanted to start bulking again, I needed to increase my calories. This is just obvious, right? Therefore, if you want to get big, you need to eat big. We all know those slogans and they are true. So therefore, I went up to 2 meals a day. Intermittent fasting, went away from OMAD, because to fit in round about 2000 calories, which isn't much, this is all that I require, but still, to fit it into a 1 hour eating window taxes the digestion, especially when it comes down to raw foods. Oh my god, guys, let me tell you, my digestion was absolutely in that time. I wanted to make it work. I wanted to eat all the food in 1 hour, but obviously that didn't work. With fruits it was still alright, but as I keep on hammering in, that doesn't have enough protein. So when I added the protein back in with sprouts, with seeds, so on and so forth, that was really, really brutal on the digestion. So I went up to 2 meals, then I went up to 3 meals, and I decreased the fasting window and I increased the eating window, and my digestion and my gains thanked me for it. It was much more feasible for me at that time to eat.
So Bobby's past self just proved that his present self is a liar. He admitted that he was starving himself, eating only 1 meal per day and hardly eating any protein on his ridiculous raw vegan diet, and that's why he ended up getting so skinny. But then once he started incorporating some cooked food, more protein, eating 3 meals per day, eating like a normal person, he was able to gain weight and, get to a healthy body weight and make gains. So isn't that weird? Back when you were vegan, you were honest and able to admit that, hey guys, I was starving myself, I wasn't eating enough, I was following a nutrient-deficient diet. But now all of a sudden that you're eating meat, you're lying to everyone saying, veganism did this to me. So why didn't Bobby compare photos of himself when he was following a sensible vegan diet? Well, that's because he'd look exactly the same. There is no difference between these photos. Bobby was clearly capable of maintaining a healthy body weight and building muscle as a vegan, but Bobby is a dishonest liar, and instead of showing you the truth, he'd rather show you a lie so that he can fabricate a narrative that he feels gives him more justifiable excuses to quit veganism. And in the next video, we're going to cover those stupid excuses. But until then, as always, keep making those vegan gains.